This story begins with a surprising twist at a Coldplay concert, where Andy Byron, the CEO of a tech company called Astronomer, found himself in an unexpected spotlight. Along with Kristen Kitt, the head of HR, the two were attending the concert together. And at some point during the night, they appeared on the jumbo screen, also known as the kiss cam. The camera captured them in what some described as an intimate or telling moment, which sparked a flurry of reactions online and among co-workers and industry watchers. As the clip played, live singer Chris Martin seemed to react with playful commentary suggesting something along the lines of "oh, look at them," or "maybe she's shy," or even implying they might be in a romantic relationship. The crowd responded with laughter and curiosity, and soon the clip made its way to social media and news outlets, where it began to take on a life of its own. People began asking who they were, what company they were with, and whether this was simply two co-workers attending a concert or something more. The man, identified as Andy Byron, is indeed the
I could have never guessed that it would be such high-profile individuals in the video. I do feel sorry for their partners and spouses.
An office romance. The moment drew attention, not just because of the kiss cam, but because of the implications for corporate ethics and workplace relationships, especially when it involves leadership. The narrative picked up speed when observers online and in the studio started discussing what it means when a CEO and the head of HR are publicly seen in a seemingly affectionate moment. The question quickly shifted from curiosity to accountability, with people wondering what happens next in a company where leadership is expected to maintain a certain level of professionalism and boundaries. Speculation grew over whether they were actually in a relationship or whether this was a misunderstanding, exaggerated by the context of the
There's more reaction to the story everyone's talking about. The CEO caught on kiss cam at a Coldplay concert, snuggling with his head of human resources. Today, there are serious questions whether they will be forced to leave their jobs. Allison Hall has the latest.
Something like this if the board finds out, or if employees begin asking questions about what they saw on social media. What kind of policies exist to address this, especially when the head of HR is involved in the situation? The group then discussed the structure of the company and what consequences might come from a leadership scandal. Astronomer is not a tiny startup, but a tech company with considerable funding, having raised over $700 million in a series of investment rounds. The presence of a board of directors and outside investors changes the stakes dramatically, because public perception and internal trust become key factors in the future of the leader.
I think cheating is an abomination, okay? And this man has a wife, he has children, these kids are gonna have to watch and see this. They don't look, I would be devastated if I was his.
He could be forced out by the board, especially if the board sees this as a reputational issue or a violation of company values. They even explored how the CEO likely received founder-level equity or share options when he stepped into the role, and what that might mean in terms of power or ability to fight back. But even with equity, his position may be to compromise to stay long-term. Likewise, Kristen Kitt could step down voluntarily to avoid a public termination or to preserve some dignity, though firing her could raise legal issues since she's head of HR and likely knowledgeable about workplace law. The podcast guests agreed that the optics are bad, the timing is worse, and in a culture where workplace relationships are scrutinized more than ever, this kind of story can spiral fast, especially when cameras and celebrity concerts are involved, adding that this is not about big names like Dana White who can weather a scandal. This is about a business leader who is not a public figure but still represents a nearly billion-dollar organization where stakeholder trust matters. They also highlighted that what began as a seemingly innocent moment on the Jumbotron could snowball into a corporate crisis, especially in a world where everything is instantly captured and circulated. And now, not only is the CEO's reputation in question, but so is the integrity of the company's HR department. The team then joked about how someone in this situation would even handle it on Monday, walking into a meeting or an office where everyone already saw the clip online or read the speculation on LinkedIn or Twitter. They imagined scenarios where the HR head is asked to speak about workplace policy while everyone is thinking about the concert, or the CEO has to face employees and board members who now see him differently. They brought up real-world examples from the past where relationships between executives and subordinates caused shakeups and legal fallout, and how in corporate America the standard response is to quietly remove the person from their post and begin damage control as soon as possible. One of the podcast hosts even referenced a moment from 17 years ago where a similar story unraveled in real time, leading to lawyers' lawsuits and the loss of reputation, assets, and employment. They noted that this is how fast things move now, especially with digital media involved, and that stories like these rarely stay quiet, especially when someone on the team posts the video on social or when a gossip blog picks it up. Soon corporate lawyers, PR teams, and investors start paying attention. And when the narrative becomes about workplace ethics and transparency, leadership has no choice but to respond. They joked that someone could try a comedic defense like George Costanza from Seinfeld saying, "Oh, was that wrong? I didn't know I wasn't supposed to." Or simply admitted in Charleston White style, "Yeah, I did it, and now what?" But the truth is that, for people at the top of a corporation, those strategies rarely work, and the consequences are far more severe. They even pivoted to talk about the merch drop for their future looks bright limited edition hat, using the momentum of the viral story to remind viewers to act quickly before it sells out, and to note that the numbered versions tend to appear on eBay for way more than the original price. They circled back to the original topic and said this was just another example of how fast the news cycle works today, how public appearances and private moments can be conflated, and how difficult it is for corporate leaders to separate their personal lives from their professional image, especially when a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert becomes a viral headline with real consequences. They closed by reflecting on how organizations must stay vigilant and transparent when it comes to leadership behavior, and how ultimately people watch how companies respond not just to the mistakes but to the decisions they make in the aftermath.